Hi everyone, I'm Anthony Quinn. I'm the founder and CEO of RegTech Intelligence, and today I'm joined by Todd Harland from AML Solutions International in what is our second Meet Our Partners episode. Today we're going to be talking about regulatory technology, and in particular some forward-thinking organisations and what they're doing towards digital transformation of risk and compliance. Hi Todd, thanks for joining us today. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into this topic, which I know is close to both of our hearts.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for having me.
First of all, I'd like to kind of talk about the risk-based approach. Now, obviously being AML professionals, the risk-based approach is really at the heart of AML compliance programs, putting the emphasis really on regulated businesses to really identify and assess their financial crime risk and then build that proportionate and appropriate control framework to mitigate and manage that risk. But in your experience, what I'd like to understand kind of how you're seeing certain clients of yours approach the risk assessment and the risk-based approach.
Yeah, well, there's really sort of two sides to it, I think. For the more experienced players in the industry who do have some sort of understanding of risk management, risk mitigation, and all the sort of theories that play out with that, they're given that advantage of being able to work things to suit their industry, to suit their position within the industry. So as opposed to being a prescriptive legislation, the risk-based approach allows them to tailor things to suit specifically their needs. The flip side of that is the less sophisticated entities out there that are really struggling with it. They don't have experience in understanding just the basic process of risk identification and risk management and so forth. And there probably hasn't been enough lead-up work going into that over the years to give those smaller players a stronger understanding of what a baseline should be.
I just wonder whether you can see any kind of real pitfalls in not having at least some set of industry standards or common expectations that businesses, at a minimum would be expected to see being assessed in their risk assessment.
AUSTRAC have provided guidance on a lot of things along the way, which has been good. And in particular with the digital currency exchanges, they went that one step further and provided a greater level of guidance in relation to risk as well. From what I've seen, from being on the receiving end and doing independent reviews, you see that a lot of these businesses are genuinely struggling with, from an AML perspective. And then even the amount of access to information can be quite difficult. We talk about high-risk jurisdictions, for example. The link on the AUSTRAC website takes you to the FATF website, which is talking about high-risk jurisdictions from a totally different perspective. They're talking at a national level, as opposed to how do you apply that in your little business in Western Sydney or Eastern Perth or something like that. So it's very difficult to take this high-level information and apply it in a suburban context.
And just with, obviously, COVID, everyone's having to cope with a huge amount of kind of change and transformation. What we've seen is some people kind of, taking the time to really reassess their risk profile, and others, really put the risk assessment and other things on the back burner. I just wonder if that's common to what you're seeing in the market as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the big end of town, we're seeing some of that, the big reporting, the likes of CBA and Westpac and so forth, and PayPal and so forth, who are having to take big, leaps and strides at this time and can dedicate the resources to that. In the mid-tier market, we're sort of seeing financial institutions trying to find ways to be, find efficiencies. At the smaller end of town, the smaller reporting attitudes are sort of seeing a mixed attitude. They think that they're probably off the radar for AUSTRAC and so forth. And so, taking the risk mitigation strategy of it won't happen to me, So we've definitely seen a lot of cutbacks. Work that was in the pipeline has been cut back or postponed. So, and that's certainly not any great surprise.
And it's interesting you talk about sort of digitisation of risk and compliance. Obviously, that's our goal with Optic Intelligence and our platforms, to really try and drive that kind of digitised risk and compliance experience. And are you seeing kind of a willingness among your clients to actually try new ways of assessing their risk profile?
Look, again, we can sort of go to extremes of the spectrum. I've had one client who came on board with Arctic Intelligence in 72 hours. They said we got in front of them, had a chat, and within 3 days was signed up and off and going. I've also had another client that's taken 3 months. And as you say, that early adopter attitude, if you have an organisation that is used to or more adept at the bricks and mortar type of work, then their psyche and their preparedness to move to a technology platform appears to be a bit slower. Neobanks that I've worked with obviously have been very quick to take up any sort of technology solution because they understand the efficiencies that are gained. And also, one of the benefits that of using the online platforms is that you have a common communication platform as well. Even in this COVID period, the timelines that are taken to do work has blown out a bit. Things that you would do in a matter of hours or days can stretch out to days and weeks. So, but by having this common communication platform, it does create that level of efficiency as well.
Just kind of honing in a bit on Australia, obviously over the last sort of 12 months, we've had some pretty material compliance issues at some of the major banks, and obviously seen you on the TV a fair bit talking about the banks and the casinos. So I guess the question I've got for you is really, what kind of advice do you have for reporting entities that want to stay out of the media?
Right. Yeah. Look, if you want to protect your brand, which is absolutely critical, then they have to take these obligations seriously. I think a key message from Austrac that came out at a forum about 18 months ago was that too many organisations have underinvested in people and technology solutions for way too long. And that's what's playing out now in these extreme levels of non-compliance. So, it's that old saying of there's a cost to compliance, there's a cost involved in doing that, but geez, the cost of non-compliance is just far beyond that. You need a strong regulator to make sure that people aren't falling off the radar, or that organisations are staying the course. The other message I would say is training, and more training. It's so important to make sure that the people understand the risks. You're a frontline person who has that customer contact, whether it's face-to-face or whether it's on the phone or a chat room scenario, then you have to be wise and be a little bit smarter about the activity that's being undertaken, because the very best criminal syndicates are very adept at finding the vulnerabilities and exploiting them. So your staff that manage the day-to-day business and protect that brand up front need to be well prepared in order to close that door at the first instance.
No, that's really interesting, that perspective, Todd. Just before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to kind of add to our audience?
It's important for organisations to know that Austrac doesn't expect you to be perfect at conducting your compliance activities. You should be skilled, you should be well skilled, but they understand that it's risk mitigation, not risk elimination, and so you should be making reasonable efforts. If you're not making reasonable efforts, then obviously they're going to come down on you like a ton of bricks. And so they're expecting you to be looking for ways to continually improve. And one of those best ways for continuous improvement, again, is those tools that we're talking about, bringing on that external independent review, have a fresh set of eyes looking over how we do things around here, and asking the question, why do we do it that way, or why do you do it that way? And have you considered looking at this as a different way of doing it?
Thanks ever so much, Todd, for your time. That was really excellent to get all your perspectives on that. And thanks again.
No, you're welcome. No, thanks for the time.